Almost everyone in Nigeria right now is frustrated.
Conversations and scrolling just got costlier in Nigeria as the country's government announced a 50% hike on mobile tariffs.
Our internet service providers are showing us shege. Wait, let's say you want to download a file of 100 gigabytes. Which of these network providers can you beat your chest and trust them to download that large file without you having to smash your head into the wall out of frustration? None, right? Well, in today's video, I'm going to tell you why your data gets exhausted quickly and why our internet services providers network are so terrible. I am Shalom and this is Shali Tech. Let's jump right in. Now, the first reason is enhanced phone technologies. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's say you and your friend head over to a car lot to purchase brand new cars. You decide to purchase a 4-cylinder vehicle and your friend decides to purchase a V6 engine vehicle. Now, both of you just purchased brand new cars and you are feeling on top of the world. And then you decide to embark on your first journey from Lagos to Abuja and both of you fill up your tank. You both buy 100 liters of fuel. Now, when both of you get to your destination, you find out that you with a 4-cylinder engine just used half tank of fuel and your friend with his V6 cylinder has already used up all of his fuel and needs to buy more fuel. What is the problem? Now, the reason why one person has more fuel than the other person remaining is actually because of the technologies behind the engines of these specific vehicles. You cannot expect a V6 engine to consume the same amount of fuel a 4-cylinder engine is going to consume, and that's the same thing that happens with our smartphones nowadays. Now, if you go back in time, you'll find out that the phones that were being released back then actually had screen resolutions that were substandard. You could see a phone screen with a resolution of about 360, 480 or even 720, but right now we can see that our smartphones have greater screen resolutions and some of these phones even have screen quality of about 4K, and these phones can actually stream 4K content and they look very good. Now, the amount of data that is going to be consumed by a smartphone that loads 4K content is different from the amount of data that is going to be consumed by a phone that loads 720p content. Now, another thing that causes massive data drain is our social media apps. If you remember back then, if you open your Instagram app and you keep on scrolling, you will find out that at a particular point you'll get to the end of the feed, but right now there is no end. You just keep on scrolling and scrolling and you keep on loading new content. Now, the more you scroll and the more you load up new content, the more data you actually consume. Now, that's not even all. I'm sure that if you use an iPhone, you've probably noticed that sometimes some of your apps actually update without your permission. I mean, you could just be sitting down with your phone in your hand and find out that Instagram is just updating by itself without you giving it permission. Now, because some of your apps actually update by themselves and because they actually use background activity, they actually consume more data than before. Now, we've talked about the reasons why your smartphones consume more data than before. Let's now talk about the reason why our internet service providers network are so terrible. Now, one of the reasons why our network providers services are very bad is actually because of the economic challenges in Nigeria right now. Back then, if you had 1 million naira, you were actually a big man and you could purchase a lot of things. But right now, the purchasing power of the naira has actually crashed, and if you own 1 million naira right now, 1 million naira just seems like chicken change. Now, that is the same thing that has affected these companies. The amount of money that they actually make back then cannot be compared to the amount of money they are making right now, and that is part of the reasons why a lot of them have actually increased their tariff plans, and some of them have even doubled the amount of money that you would actually need to purchase data right now in 2025. Now, the second reasons why their networks are so bad right now is actually due to lack of investment. Now, a lot of our ISPs actually rely on funds from their investors, and of course, because the economy is bad and because the naira has devalued, there is no way investors are going to keep on investing in the same thing and not look for great returns. So the moment they find out that they are not getting huge returns from these network providers, they would actually pull back and not want to invest more money into that network providers to make their services better. Now, the third reason why our network provider services are bad right now is because of old infrastructures. Now, a lot of all these masts and infrastructures that were put in place were actually put in place a long time ago. It's just like somebody purchasing a generator 10 years ago and still using that generator up to now. The truth of the matter is that generator is not going to give you the same output as it was giving you 10 years ago. So a lot of all these infrastructures actually need to be maintained, and some of them have to be replaced. But how do they do that? when they don't get money from investors? How do they do that when the money they even get from the subscribers themselves are not even enough to pay for the staffs, talk less of even going to go and renovate one building or one infrastructure or the other? Now the first reason is actually because of infrastructure vandalism and theft. I mean, we just talked about the fact that this infrastructure are already old and not enough. But there are still some people out there that will step out of their house with the aim of targeting these infrastructures and vandalizing them. Fear God now. Fear God. When we are complaining that something is not enough, you guys still go out and destroy this infrastructure and then make the whole thing unbearable for everyone. It doesn't make any sense. Now the fifth reason why our network is so terrible right now is because of the high operational cost. As we all know as Nigerians, 24/7 electricity is a dream, and I'm pretty sure that 90% of Nigerians have never even experienced 24/7 electricity before. Well, because these network providers have to rely on generators, they have to buy diesel, they have to buy fuel, they have to invest in alternative sources of power, that has actually increased their operational cost and has actually made it more difficult for them to render great services to Nigerians. Now, the last reason why our network providers' services are terrible right now is because of network congestion. If you compare the amount of people that had smartphones 20 years ago to the amount of people that own smartphones right now, you will find out that that number has doubled or even quadrupled. And because the network has become congested, there's a limit to how much resources can actually be allocated to each of these users. Of course, there are no more investors, the cost of operation is very, very high. There is no way they are going to invest more into making resources available for more people. Now, I'm sure I've been able to paint a pretty good picture and you now understand the reasons why the network provider services in Nigeria are terrible. What do you think could be done to solve all these problems? Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. If you found this video helpful, feel free to like the video, share it with your friend, and a sub to this channel is going to be very much appreciated. See you on the next video. Cheers.